There is a particular kind of quiet that comes from growing up without siblings. Not loneliness exactly, just space. Space where arguments never happen, space where toys are never fought over, space where slowly you realize all the attention in the room belongs to you, whether you want it or not. Lena grew up in that kind of quiet.
She learned she was an only child long before she understood why. It was written into the apartment itself. One bedroom, one small desk, one set of school books stacked neatly every night. When she was 7, she asked her mother the question most children ask eventually. Why don't I have a brother or sister? Her mother paused, hands still wet from washing rice. We were allowed only one, she said, and we chose you. That word, allowed, stayed with Lena. Her parents had married in the early 1980s, when the rule was already fixed in place. One child. Not advice, not encouragement, a condition. China was crowded, poor, trying to move forward all at once. The slogans painted on walls spoke of collective responsibility, of sacrifice for the future. Fewer children meant a stronger nation, or so they were told. Most people didn't argue. Arguing required options. They had none. When Lena's mother became pregnant a second time, it wasn't planned. There was a visit, a clipboard, a conversation held in polite voices indoors. After that, the subject disappeared, not because it no longer mattered, but because there was no place to put it. No memorial, no story, no language for a grief that wasn't supposed to exist.
So they focused forward. Everything they had went into the child they were permitted to keep. Lena's father worked longer hours. Her mother learned to stretch money until it barely felt real. Every sacrifice made sense if it led somewhere, toward one healthy, successful future. At night, sometimes, her mother counted quietly in her head. 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 1 child. If anything happened to her, the thought never reached the end.
At school, Lena wasn't unusual. Almost everyone was an only child. Teachers half joked, half worried, calling them little emperors, children raised at the center of the universe and under its weight. Every exam felt important. Every ranking mattered. There was no sibling to absorb disappointment, no second path if the first collapsed. Lena did well. She had to. As she grew older, she noticed how her parents watched her, not just with love, with calculation. If she went far away for work, the apartment would be quiet. If she married late, the family line would pause. If she struggled, there would be no one else to carry the load. Friends with siblings complained more, but their parents aged differently. Their worries were divided. Lena's parents had only one place to put everything. Hope, fear, expectation. All of it. In her.
Years passed. China changed. The policy loosened, then ended, then reversed itself entirely. Have 2 children, 3 children for a better future. The same state that once said no now asked people to say yes, urgently, repeatedly, almost desperately. Lena's parents watched the announcements on television in silence. By then, it felt almost cruel in its timing. They were already too old. Their lives had been shaped by a rule that no longer existed. There was no apology, no reckoning, just new slogans. History had moved on. They had not.
When Lena became pregnant, she stood in a government office, the same kind her parents once feared. But the posters on the walls told a completely different story. Encouragement instead of warning. Smiling families instead of red slogans. She felt something close to irony and something closer to doubt. She thought of her childhood apartment, the quiet, She thought of her parents growing older, with only her to rely on. She thought of friends now caring alone for 4 grandparents. Policies could change overnight. Lives could not.
When her son was born, Lena held him and felt a familiar fear. Not fear of having too few children, but fear of concentrating too much responsibility in one small life. She thought of everything that had been placed on her shoulders without anyone ever saying so out loud. Success, security, continuity. She whispered to her son, not sure whether she believed it yet. You don't have to carry everything.
Outside the hospital window, the city moved as it always had. The slogans would change again someday. They always did. But the generation shaped by the one-child policy would carry its imprint far longer, quietly, invisibly, in family dinners, in holiday phone calls, in the spaces where siblings might have been. Not as a statistic, but as a feeling.
For those who want to understand what came next, how this generation grew up, and why the effects still linger, there is a recent book worth reading, The Lonely Generation by Ting Wang. It looks at what happened after the rule ended, and why, for many, its weight never really did. We added an Amazon link to the book in the description.